Duel Review is brought to you by NexusDigitalComics.com. On today's Duel Review, it's The Physics of Superheroes, the book. You open the pages. I'm RJ.
And I'm Ted Theodore Logan. And together we are the Wild Stallions!
Let's get to it. Today is the 11th of January. It is a Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about a book that Nick found in a comic book store. It wasn't a comic.
That's something new. I found an actual book in a comic book shop that had no pictures. Well, it has pictures, but...
It is The Physics of Superheroes.
I think this is the second edition.
By Tad Longfellow.
I don't believe that's his name.
Tad Longfellow.
It's by James Cacalios.
So close.
Yes, very close. They both have first names and last names.
I just thought it was funny with the Tad, small, and then long fellow. Anyway, whatever. And it's got a comic rendition of Einstein on the cover.
Yep. Oh, other side.
Tell us a little bit about the book.
I saw this in the comic book shop. Actually, I think the first time I saw this was the first edition in Barnes & Nobles or Borders. But I was reluctant to pick it up because at the time I couldn't spend money because I had a wife. But I saw this and I was like, okay, you know what? I was interested. I'm going to get it. I picked it up, and there is so much going on in this book. Obviously there's no story. It's the physics of superheroes. So it talks mostly about the science and the math, about how things would and wouldn't work as far as powers and superheroism goes. And I was surprised to find that, and obviously this could be terribly biased, but a lot of the things that happened in comic books are actually, for the most part, physically sound. Physicsly?
I wonder how much the author is biased, though.
Well, I mean, in the very beginning, he talks about, how he uses it, because he's a professor of physics, and he uses superhero examples to relay his information in an entertaining way. So a lot of it, most of the examples that he touches upon are actual things that could happen. If Superman came from a planet, this is how much more of a gravitational pull that planet would have had to have for him to jump over a building. It gets into that kind of physics, and it's very.
Does it try to tackle how Superman can't fly, and yet he can stop in midair and then change his direction?
It does touch upon that.
Does he farts and he has the pressure of 10,000 leagues under the sea in his buttocks? Something.
It touches on that, maybe not that specifically, but it does touch upon things that are.
I knew it was his gas. Okay.
It does touch upon the things that are impossible. So,
is that how it goes? Is it just go hey, remember that one time this hero did this? This is how it's possible, or does it go through heroes themselves, or does it go through powers itself?
It goes through powers. So it starts off with Superman and the gravitational issues, and then it'll branch off into the Flash's super speed and other super speed powered relating things. It talks about how he can run up the side of buildings, and that has everything to do.
Okay, so it's not saying that the Flash is possible. It's saying that the Flash could do this if he had the power of super speed.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. Although it does talk about, he does touch upon, he touches upon a lot of things that, it's more or less taken for granted the fact that his skin would flame up if he, if he started running at supersonic speeds. If he were able to do that, this is the things that could happen.
Okay. The chapter on Aquaman just says stupid, and that's all it is.
Actually, I think there is a bit on Aquaman in here. Yeah, although I don't really want to get into much of it.
I was joking just because it's Aquaman touch a fish. No, stupid.
One of the
physically impossible. Physically stupid.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with.
I'm sorry, creator of Aquaman. It's probably Bob Kane or somebody I love.
Yeah. I think that has a lot to do with mental powers and not really physics per se. This guy specifically touches upon the physics. Now, the the delivery of his work here is actually very interesting because he mixes the humor a lot. He throws in a lot of humor. He's very funny, which makes reading through the mathematical part, which could be dull and, you know, just for me, who's not a mathematician, who doesn't know much about physics at all, it just kind of pushes me through it so much easier, you know. And while I may not remember the equations after I read this, you know, it's not like a textbook where you're studying. It definitely, you know, it definitely helps you through it. You know, his humor is perfect in this. You know, one of the funniest things that it talks about is in the very last chapter. It talks about impossible things, you know, or things taken for granted. Like, for example, Cyclops. One of the powers that no one mentions is the ability to keep his neck and head still when he forces that blast out. You know, otherwise he would like totally get whiplash and like
equal.
Destroy his head. So he's got to have like some muscle fibers or something in there. Anyways, one of the funniest things he says is he's talking about the atom, whose name I forget. What is his real name? Do you know? He's a physics professor, and he's talking about a meteorite of a dwarf star. So apparently, 2 dwarf stars hit. It falls to Earth, and he uses that meteorite of the dwarf star, which is essentially the core, to create his super shrinking ability, because he's the atom. And so he talks about how a rock that size, if it were actually if it is actually the white dwarf star, it would weigh something like 50,000 tons.
It's like Darkman or something.
Yeah, and so you see the professor at the person who's going to be Adam, and he's carrying it like this, and he's like, you know, like this, and he's like, seriously, I would say that is impossible, but the very truthful matter of is that physicists, physics teachers, physicists, yeah, I thought I got the name wrong. That physicists truly are just that strong. They're able to carry 50,000 tons and put it into their convertible.
So, I mean, it's a very long book.
Yes.
But you never thought it was, oh, this is boring, I gotta skip a chapter?
Well, here's the thing. When I first got it, I put it down and, you know, I'd flip to a page and I'd, like, go over the superpower and read it, you know. And so that was entertaining like that. But then I was like, you know what? Because it kind of goes back, I think I want to start from the beginning and just read it through. And it took me a couple days. But, yeah, I read it cover to cover, you know, front and back. And some of it was slow because, you know, some of it is more mathematically inclined than others, and some of it has powers that I don't really care about. But yeah, I totally read it cover to cover, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So
interesting.
You know, I just like knowing, like, this right here proves that superheroism or superpowers is possible for the most part.
Kind of a fun read, sounds like.
Yeah, I totally enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's another book that I wanted to read, and I think that's more about, you know, the origins of superheroes and what that says about us,
right.
Like the writers of superheroes and why we like mutants.
I saw that book too, and I totally wanted to get it. Do you happen to know the name of it?
No, I almost got it for you when Borders was closing, but I should have gotten it. Anyway, that's another fun one, but yeah, it's kind of fun to see you know, a different kind of book in the comic book store.
Yeah. Well, and one that's totally awesome. I mean, totally.
Yeah, I'd actually. There's probably not a whole lot of copies, but I'd still check. I'd still check out, like, you know, Half Price Books or whatever you use bookstore. See if you
Look, there's Aquaman.
Yay, Aquaman, and he wasn't created by Bob Kane. I looked it up. That's what I was doing.
The pressure of the job never gets to him. Apparently, it's talking about
the pressure of the sea.
The pressure of the sea on Aquaman, and probably, and I think if I remember correctly, how that changes on land. How he should be stronger on land, I believe.
Paul Norris and Mort Weisinger apparently created Aquaman.
Ooh.
Mort.
Yeah, those are totally names of someone who would create a guy that talks to fish.
Aww. They probably created other stuff too.
Possibly.
We like and love.
So yes, I totally recommend this book, especially if you want to see superheroes in real life. You can make them genetically enhanced people.
There you go. It is the future.
Yes.
All right, well, that's it. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, support us any way you can.
Oh, yeah, and if you're going to Emerald City Comic Con, totally hit us up because I'm taking a tally. I want to know who's coming.
Yeah, and leave a comment. We'll definitely comment you back. Thanks for watching.
Yep. Bye.
That's it. Oh, yes. I missed that time. Totally thought I had to.
and I ran.
Oh, I almost did a Robin Hood on that one.
And I think you did. You're a hit. I mean, if it was sticky.
Next time, it's Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. So, should I just say the physics of superheroes?
Or you could just say some book Nick found in a comic shop.
On today's Duel review, it's the physics of superheroes, the book. You open the pages. I'm RJ.
And I'm Ted Theodore Logan. And together we are the Wild Stallions.
Let's get to it. Mixed in a little Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, party time.
Dude, that's what I
excellent.
should have said. Dude. Right. Coming up, we talk about a book. Coming up, we talk about the physics of superheroes. What is it? Coming up, Nick has a book he found at a comic book store.